Hey movie fans, so with Spider-Man Brand New Day right around the corner, I thought now's the perfect time to talk about the nearly 25-year history of live-action Spider-Man on the big screen and look back at the suits that the Spider-Man have worn throughout the years, because we've gotten some truly great Spider-Man suits. And then...
Are you serious?
So today, let's look at the 14 live-action Spider-Man suits that we've gotten dating all the way back to 2002 and rank them from worst to best. Now, before we get into it, I have some caveats here. One-off, like little just kind of gags or slight variations of the Spider-Man suit, a la Andrew Garfield's Christmas or holiday suit in Amazing Spider-Man 2, not going to include it here. And Tobey Maguire's suit that he has in the first and second movie, I'm just going to kind of lump into one entry just because there's only slight variations of that one. And also, before we get into it, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think is the all-time best Spider-Man suit? What do you think is the all-time worst Spider-Man suit? And lastly, on a technicality, the suit that he wears in Brand New Day will not be on this list just because the movie has not officially come out at the time of recording this, so it makes sense in my brain. Without further ado, kicking us off at the absolute bottom of the barrel in the number 14 slot, we have Tom Holland's Inside Out suit from No Way Home. I hate this suit so much. Not so much from a design aesthetic, although I don't love the overall design. The black and the gold is just kind of whatever to me. I more hate what this suit represents. One of my big issues with the Tom Holland trilogy off the bat was how many different suits they had just for the sake of having toy sales, and this was the most egregious it ever got. This is just here so Sony has a variation to the suit that they can turn into its own separate Funko Pop or hot toy. It's just there to sell toys, and that's not always a bad thing. That's, you know, why Ninja Turtles and He-Man is an entire franchise at this point. But yeah, I don't love this suit. It just doesn't look good. It's just there to sell toys. It has no bearing on the story whatsoever. It's just greedy studio inserting a new random and ugly suit. Next at number 13, we have our first of the homemade suits, or the Gen 1 suit, and I'm talking about Andrew Garfield's homemade suit. Oh man, I get that these are supposed to be homemade suits and they're not going to look as good and polished as the final suit later on, but this is not good at all. It's just a ski mask with a hat and sunglasses. As we'll see later on in this list, I actually think some homemade suits could look good on the big screen. This is just easily the worst. The other homemade suits have at least some resemblance to Spider-Man or have some spider elements. This is just a dude in a ski mask. He looks more like the people that you fight in a Spider-Man game than Spider-Man himself. It's just, it doesn't look good to me. Continuing our trend with black being the predominant color in a Spider-Man suit, we have the Night Monkey suit from Far From Home. This, again, I don't like Spider-Man suits that don't feel like Spider-Man, and this, I get that he's not in the States and he's more or less working with S.H.I.E.L.D. here, so this is why that suit feels more S.H.I.E.L.D.-ish than it does Spider-Man, minus the goggles. It was like they tried to do an homage to Spider-Noir, but didn't want to go all the way with it, maybe because, you know, Into the Spider-Verse was coming out around that same time and they didn't want to step on each other's toes, but then why do it at all? Oh yeah, it's the Inside Out situation all over again of toy sales. This looks a little better though than the Inside Out one to me. It just looks a little more cohesive and put together. It's just not great though. I don't love just the overall look, and just, again, taking Peter outside of New York for a big chunk of the movie is also not necessarily my favorite. It just looks, it looks too armored and militaristic. It's more S.H.I.E.L.D. than Spider-Man, and it just doesn't really do anything for me. At number 11, we have a case of love the movie, don't love the suit though, and that is the main Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit. Oh boy. Andrew, why couldn't you get a good suit at all in your first outing? Like, I hate your homemade suit, and then I also really hate your main suit. I think the potential was there for a good suit, but there's just a lot of design choices that I don't really love. First of all, the material is weird. It's like a basketball stretched across his body. The big one though, to me, that I'm like, don't love this, is the eyes. Why are they yellow? I like the movie quite a bit. I really like Amazing Spider-Man 1. The second one is something else entirely, which may or may not have the exact opposite problem of this. The movie's great. The suit, the movie could be better in my eyes if the suit was better. And I'm sure there's people out there that like this suit, but just the overall pattern and the way that it's designed, like how the red comes down to the chest and below, it doesn't flow well to me. It's not a great suit. Thankfully, they would improve big time for Amazing Spider-Man 2. Next up at number 10 is one of the most controversial elements in the Tom Holland trilogy, and that is the Iron Spider suit that we see both in Infinity War and Endgame and a little bit in Far From Home. I've never been the biggest fan of the Iron Spider suit as a concept. That being said, the comic looks a whole lot better than the live action version. I don't know, there's too much going on here with the red and the yellow, but still kind of retaining some of the blue of the spider suit. It doesn't really come together for me. Again, like I said, don't love Iron Spider as a concept, but if you do, it looks cool at least. But this doesn't have that either. It doesn't look cool. I don't love what it means from a story perspective. It just, I would think there's gotta be at least some defenders of this suit out there. Once again, this feels like it was made for the Hot Toys, for the Funko Pops. It's just kind of there, but like we've seen so far, there is worse, but oh, there's so much better you could have done with this. Case in point, our number 9 entry, I have the integrated suit from Spider-Man No Way Home. This is basically the next gen version of the Iron Spider suit, but I think this one pulls off the look a whole lot better. So this one I'm putting on the list as opposed to some other ones because I think there's enough variation in how it looks and how it overall feels within both the story and just the aesthetics of it. I think this is a much better option if we were gonna go the Iron Spider route, because you still have the like homemade cloth feel of the classic traditional Spider-Man suit while still having the metal alloy type stuff that you get with an Iron Man suit. Again, don't love Iron Spider as a concept, but this feels a lot closer to it. I like the line work on this. I don't think it's overstuffed with color. Plus, I get why they went with this for No Way Home because it visually makes him stand apart from both Andrew and Tobey. It makes Tom's very unique in that sense. It's still not necessarily my favorite, but I think this was a huge step up though from the Iron Spider suit that we got in Infinity War. From here on out, every suit that we're going to talk about are ones that I either really like or truly love, with the 8th spot going to Tobey Maguire's homemade suit. This feels like a good homemade suit, but it still retains enough of those classic Spider-Man elements. This one just really works for me. Is part of this blinded by nostalgia for the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie? Possibly. Plus, I love the whole Macho Man Randy Savage scene. I think, yes, the wrestling fan of me is absolutely satisfied with this, and just, it really works as a good introduction. Plus, it's a nice callback to his fight with Crusher Hogan in the comics. It really works. Also, I'm sure I'm partial to my love of this suit because I definitely had the Lego back in the day with like the yellow under the mask and everything. It was definitely one of the many Spider-Man Lego sets I had back in the day. This to me was a good, believable homemade suit. Yes, I can absolutely see Peter Parker throwing this together to do some form of a wrestling event. I think it really works as a first gen suit, but then obviously Tobey moves on to much bigger and better things later. Next at number 7, and potentially controversially, I have Tom Holland's Far From Home suit, the red and the black one. I've seen a lot of people really like this suit, and I'm like, it's fine. I get that it looks more like the red and black, like from the Stan Lee and Steve Ditko era. Like sometimes the ink looked more black, but it's definitely blue in my mind, and I think that's part of the problem for me. I don't like red and black as much for Peter Parker. I know there's been some variations out there. If I remember correctly, Superior Spider-Man, when it was Doc Ock inside of Peter Parker's brain, had red and black as a suit, and it's I like when Miles has it with black being the primary color and red being the accent color. I think that works super well for Miles Morales' Spider-Man, but for me, Peter, I like blue and red more than anything else. This is a good designed suit. Like, there's less obnoxious line work like we'll talk about in the suit later on that is ironic that it is still higher, but we'll get there when we get there. From a sheer layout perspective, I get why people like this. I think it's got good lines. It looks more closer to the traditional Spider-Man. I think I would like this suit a whole lot more though if it was blue and not black, or at least a very dark blue. It's a good suit. It is far better than the Night Monkey suit or the Iron Spider suit. It's one step closer to the right direction, or the one step closer to perfect. In the number 6 spot is what I consider to be the best of the homemade suits, with Tom Holland's homemade suit from Civil War and a little bit of Homecoming. I really love this suit for a variety of different reasons. One, it still manages to capture the essence of Spider-Man, even if it's a prototype suit. Also, it's a fun homage to the Ben Reilly Spider-Man. Ben Reilly's pretty cool, and I like the design choice that they give him. So basically, to invert the colors of it and make it the homemade version for Tom Holland's suit, I thought was a cool little touch there. This suit really works for me. Plus, I like the little goggles that Tony Stark, makes fun of in Civil War, but they allow him to be expressive. This suit just really works for me. I like this homemade suit better than some actual finished suits. Looking at you, Amazing Spider-Man 1. At number 5, I have potentially my most controversial opinion, the Tobey Maguire suit at number 5. I like this suit. I really do. And I know some people will have this as like number 1 or number 2 because they love Tobey Maguire, and I do too. It was the Spider-Man that I grew up on. But this suit, even as a kid, I thought had room for improvement. The big thing that I've always been like, I know a lot of people like it, but I don't, is the raised webbing throughout the suit. It doesn't work for me as much. It's just a weird design choice. I don't know. And also, it never felt like this was actually made by Tobey Maguire. This felt like a movie suit, and that's fine. It really worked for the Raimi verse. It really works for that story that they're telling. It just never felt homemade, and that's the thing. A Spider-Man suit is supposed to have at least some elements of it being handmade. It doesn't feel like I can picture Tobey Maguire hand stitching this together after it's been shredded by Doc Ock or Green Goblin. It feels too high production budget, if that makes sense. Like, it's a good looking suit and it looks great in all like the sunset or sunrise shots that we get all throughout the Raimi trilogy. It's a good looking suit, but I don't think it's as good as everyone makes it out to be. And I know I'm gonna get blasted for that, and that's fine. It's a good suit. At number 4, on the flip side though, we have the Tobey Maguire symbiote suit. Oh, this thing is perfect. I don't know what it is though. When you desaturate the red and blue suit with the Tobey Maguire one, it just works so much better. Sometimes just having a black and white variant of the suit improves it a ton. Look at the Tyler Hoechlin Superman on Supergirl. Like, before he got Superman and Lois, he had this really janky looking Superman suit. Then you make it black and white. Oh, that thing looks so much better. And the same thing here with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man suit. The other one is fine. It's okay. But make it a symbiote suit, and with the black and the silver, oh, that thing goes so hard. It looks so cool. It is just iconic. I know Spider-Man 3 is not great, but the suit is so good. If people were mad that I put the Tobey Maguire suit at number 5, they're probably not going to be happy that I'm going to put the Tom Holland suit from Civil War and Homecoming, the primary Stark suit, at number 3. Yes, I love this suit that much. Even if it is just coated with CGI, and that frustrates me to no end. They made a practical suit. Why'd you have to gloss over it with CGI? That being said, this is a great suit, and I love this suit so much, and I always kind of wondered how they would improve upon it. And the big thing was just take away the obnoxious black accents all throughout the suit. It was there for the sake of being there. It's got that Marvel line-itis, you know what I mean, of putting way too much lines on the Marvel suits. But this is a great suit. I absolutely loved it. It just immediately popped to me when we first saw it debut in Civil War. I was like, this is a different Spider-Man that we've never seen before. This is much closer to what I've been wanting, and I love the suit so much. Just bump up the saturation a little bit and also just leave it as a practical suit, and it is practically perfect, which, is advice that they would eventually do, but we'll get there. At number 2, I have the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit. Oh, this thing is gorgeous. I mentioned before that I didn't love the suit for Amazing Spider-Man, even though I loved the movie. Well, flip it on its head and invert it, and that's basically where we're gonna get from Amazing Spider-Man 2 here. I don't really like this movie as a whole. It's not bad, but it's got a lot of story problems. I can ignore a lot of those story problems just for how good this suit looks like whole. And up until now, again, jury's still out on Brand New Day, this is the most emotive and expressive a Spider-Man has been in the suit. Andrew Garfield is putting in extra work, and I think that kind of helps with this suit. It feels like he is just having more fun with it. He's much more expressive, and it's like that's Spider-Man. We're much closer to what it should have been. The first suit was this one is practically perfect in every single way, Mary Poppins style. The only thing that I would change with the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit is I wish the eyes could move just a little bit, but that's also where the physicality that we talked about with Andrew Garfield comes in. I can see why they didn't have the moving eyes. One, because it probably just wasn't a thing yet, but two, you don't necessarily need it because he's being so emotive with his body and his expressions and everything else. You didn't necessarily need it. It just would have been a nice, like, over the top, just icing on the cake for a phenomenal suit. It's just so good, which only leaves one more option. You knew it had to be here. The final swing suit from Spider-Man No Way Home. It is, but it isn't the suit that we're getting for Brand New Day. You can clearly tell there's some changes slightly to the costume. It's a little less shiny on the blue, which that was my only real nitpick with the No Way Home suit, is it just was a tiny bit too shiny. But besides that, that is the most, like, perfect Spider-Man suit I have ever seen. When I saw it for the first time in theaters, amidst my happy tears, I was just thinking to myself, that's Spider-Man. That's what I wanted the entire time. It just looks fantastic. It has that right balance of looking like a movie suit, but still a homemade suit. Like when Tom picks up the mask off the pillowcase, the way it moves, it felt like cloth. It's why I like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit. You could see it ripple, and it had texture and tactile feel to it. This felt like cloth, not just some high-tech super suit. It feels like something homemade, which is at its core what a good Spider-Man suit should be. Just simple, elegant, straight to the point, iconic, classic Spider-Man. That is exactly what the Brand New Day suit is now, but the first version of that was at the end of No Way Home, and it just put a nice end cap to that fantastic movie. I love No Way Home so much, and the last 10 minutes when everything comes full circle and we get that this is the new direction for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and this new suit is almost like a rebirth of Spider-Man. This is the Spider-Man that you know and love. Just absolutely perfect, and I cannot wait to see the direction that we take this character going forward. But what do you guys think? What do you think are the best Spider-Man suits that we've seen in live action form up till this point? What do you think are some of the worst? Whatever your thoughts, let me know down in the comments below, as I can from you guys. And as always, if you like what you see and want to see more, subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.